Poor as all get out.
Back in my day.
So if you had your car right now, you wouldn't be poor.
Yes.
I used to go uphill both ways on a bike in the winter.
That's me, dude.
In a hurricane.
That's me right now.
Just to get to class.
I had to walk across.
Bus routes stop after 10 p.m.
I had to walk to campus. I didn't walk to campus. I got on campus and I had to walk around.
Oh, you poor thing.
It was cold.
I'm so sorry.
It was cold that day and I didn't do laundry, so I was just walking around in shorts.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks,
you poor guy.
I know.
You've got to go through so much pain.
Some of us, have thick skin. Some of us had to tough it out.
Somebody stole your wallet on the way there.
Not everybody's got a warrior's mentality like I do.
Like J. Cruz.
You can say that.
All right, hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 17 of the Inside Sports Podcast. This is Cole Daily, editor-in-chief of the Daily Egyptian. We have Joey Bernard to my left. He's a graduate assistant for the Daily Egyptian, and Jay Cruz, who is just some guy. Let's go ahead and jump in. Usually, right, we start off with men's basketball, but I want to wait because we had a very, very eventful week in men's basketball. We're going to go ahead and jump to women's basketball, who suffered 2 losses to Murray State, who's one of the best teams in the conference, and Belmont, who happens to be the best team in the conference right now. Yeah. Were we expecting a win in either one of these games? Joey, I'm going to start with you.
I don't know if we were expecting a win, but I was expecting at least some type of competitiveness, and I think we saw some of that against a Belmont team that we were just basically oversized against, or they were oversized against us. How am I trying to say that?
Yeah. You said it right the second time.
Yeah, we were oversized against.
Yeah, they got oversized.
The Murray State game, I think that was very, very encouraging. We lost by 5 there. We limited them to, one of their lowest point totals of the season, and they're a very high-flying offense in the Missouri Valley Conference too. So I think that's something to be proud of, even in a 2-loss week. Belmont is just a buzzsaw that I don't think anybody was going to be able to expect us that we are going to get past, much less compete against, and we lost by, was it 11 or 9? It was like 64 or 74 or 75 or something like that. Lania Randall, she almost had 4 double-doubles in a row there. She was 2 rebounds away in that Belmont game to getting her 4th in a row. So now her total is at 8 double-doubles on the season. I want to do something here the rest of the women's basketball season, just a Lania Randall watch, she is obviously the star of this year, and I think she's going to get close to that double-double record. I think, 20 or 22 on a year? I don't know. But love to see what we've seen out of her. Jaden Mason, a great week for her. She's been on a tear. I did some research, if you want to call it that even, just on her stat page. She's 21 of 39 in her last 3 games. So that's 53.8% shooting percentage. In the previous 3 games, she was 6 for 48. So that's 12.5%. So she's been on a tear lately, right. Of course. Our offense has obviously not been the reason why we haven't been doing the greatest this year, but it's nice to see her, pick up her game recently. We just got to get a lot more boards offensively. I think that's our problem. And I don't know if the Belmont game, we can't really take too much out of that. We just ran into a buzzsaw. Right.
Jay Cruz, we have another tough game against Missouri State coming up. They are currently 3rd in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah.
What are we to expect, Jay Cruz? Is it going to be more of the same?
Well, I like how you mentioned that we were at a major height disadvantage, and one of the things that you can do to cancel that out, essentially, is have good guard play. And with how good Jaden Mason's been playing, amidst, let's call it, some turmoil with the roster right now, I think it's been really great for this team, and obviously Lania Randall continues to play well. I think defensively, that's what we're going to have to rely on if we want to win games the rest of the season. And then in the conference tournament, still got a little ways before that. But, we saw some some encouraging signs this past weekend that I think are going to bode well for us as we head into the rest of the season.
100%. And so they play Missouri State on Saturday, and they are currently – or not Missouri State, but we are currently sitting at 7-12 and only 2-7 in the Missouri Valley, which I'm not sure – I don't know if we could look that up now, but where were we at last year when we were at this point in the Missouri Valley? Because that seems worse. I feel like we might have been a little bit better. While they're looking that up, we will find that out for you soon, folks. We're going to go ahead and jump into basketball. Now, men's basketball has been kind of a it's been an interesting talking point. So much so that, well, that's CDale, a very, very popular Instagram, Facebook kind of page. We're shouting out, well, that's CDale.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because it's an important thing.
Surprised you bringing it up.
Well, they went as far as to post a email to Saluki Basketball calling for Brian Mullins' job. And since it's out there, people are saying that Brian Mullins has not been the best coach this year.
I need to
openly
look at this for myself.
We've openly talked about, is Brian Mullins the coach? Is he the guy? Jake Hurst, read it out loud. Read it out loud for us.
Okay, so this is public. Okay, because I don't even follow this account. So this is
Right.
public for everyone
This is
to
public.
see.
This is just
If you're going to try to strike us down for this, then screw you. Hello, I hope all is going well because my mental. I don't know who this person is, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not me reading this.
And it seems that they're being a little
It might be.
hyperbolic. They're being a little hyperbolic. But
Yeah, these first couple of lines are.
we'll talk about
probably
it
a little
after
bit
this.
Hyperbole, but
We'll talk about it.
hello, I hope all is going well because my mental health is suffering due to this poverty of coaching. It's astonishing how you guys manage to choke away every game, and it stems from Mullins' inability to be creative or even run a semi-decent offense. No wonder every player I've talked to says they hate Mullins. He was only hired because he used to play semi-decent basketball at SIU, which he was better than semi-decent. That's a little unfair. Which in our division isn't hard. Again, that's heinous, but okay.
Yeah.
Get your act together. I'm tired of being the laughingstock of Illinois. We suck, and it's almost all on you, Brian. Okay. Having read this for the first time, this is a little.
It's hyperbolic.
This is clickbait. This is clickbait to the nth degree.
However,
now
let's point something out because I wanted to bring it up.
yes,
Out of the three major sports that we have at SIU this year, football, baseball, and basketball, two of those coaches were extended. Nick Hill, the football coach, and Lance Rhodes, the baseball coach. One coach only has 1 year left remaining on his deal. That would be Brian Mullins. So I guess to hand the baton to you, Jay Cruz.
Yeah.
We've been noticing some trends. What are your thoughts on Mullins coaching and what the potential for this team? Are we reaching the potential of what this team is?
Well, look, I don't want to say. I'm not going to say anything that I haven't already said. If you want to know how I feel about this team, just go back and watch the other episodes. As I'm just gonna, now that I'm reading this, I just want to kind of respond to this and kind of point out some nuggets of truth, along with the stuff I said that was a little heinous. But the creative offense thing, right? Last night there was something that I had never seen before in a game here, where the Banterra Center was booing our own team every single time we had the ball. And when you get to that point in the season, that's like a ticking time bomb for your program, because that means the fans are starting to have apathy. Now they're used to blowing these games. I mean, we were up double digits in the second half again last week, and to me, the Murray State game was, I don't want to call it a fluke, but for a Division I basketball team to score 3 points in 14 minutes is insanity. And again, I don't, credit to the guys for coming together and playing some really good defense toward the end of the game, but 3 points in 14 minutes, dude, that has to be some sort of record this season, especially in the Missouri Valley Conference.
100%.
I feel the fans. I understand why they would be frustrated, but with that being said, those same people, and these are things that I've said, have to acknowledge that there really isn't another shot creator on this team, because what I think was happening, again, I can't confirm this because I wasn't booing, but what I think is happening is every single late game situation, it's just X ISO'd, and everyone is just standing on the perimeter, creating space for him, right? That's by design. They're not just standing there for no reason. They're standing there making space for X, right? But I think teams have started to figure out now exactly how to play him, and our offense has really, really struggled because of it.
As a basketball guy myself, I'd like to chime in a little bit here, just because this isn't just an X thing. I mean, I would agree with you if this was, if it was just this year that I noticed this. However, what can you remember about the past 2 years? He's a really good player. He's a great player at U of I right now. But Marcus Domask, it was just the Marcus Domask show.
Yeah.
At the end of every single game,
Yeah.
hit it down to the low block. And credit to Brian Mullins, because a lot of the time he finds the spots his guys are comfortable. Marcus was always comfortable in that kind of mid-block section. And Xavier Johnson really likes having the ball. I think it's usually he likes to go to his right, or where he can cross over into his left and maybe draw a foul or something like that. Point is, it's not sustainable. Because you look at last year, and obviously Xavier wasn't the exact same player he is this year that he was last year. But, he had good moments. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And the fact that we didn't know he was even capable of this last year, there should have been more inkling. There should have been – it becomes a one-man show a lot of the time.
Yep.
And, Lance was the point guard, and he could kind of decide whether he wanted to chuck a 32-foot three-pointer. But – so, maybe the other couple of years it was a two-man show. But nevertheless, myself, as much as a fan of basketball, the defense is great. I have little complaints about the defense. This was kind of his calling card while he was the assistant coach at Loyola Chicago for Porter Moser. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, I think as an SIU fan, as somebody who cares about it, I resonate a little bit with this because I think genuinely our offense is... To say it's disappointing is pretty darn accurate. Joey, I'm gonna hand it to you. What do you think?
Well, it was just nice to hear the experts talk for a little while about the basketball guys. No, I just want to say I don't think any of us will really know if it's Mullins' fault for any of this unless we're in the huddle, in the locker room, right? We don't know what type of schemes he's trying to do, what type of plays he's trying to draw up. But, I think I'm more on the J. Cruz side here. Not that you guys were really disagreeing, but
no, yeah.
The people that are trying to blame Brian Mullins for all this are just they're just trying to be so close-minded to realize that we just don't have pure shooters on this team outside of X. And also, I just want to bring up, how do we know that X didn't have this type of talent, or didn't have this type of talent rather last year when he was kind of in the not in the limelight as much because we had Marcus Damask and Lance Jones. Now that he's in the spotlight, he's getting all this attention, but now that he's getting more play time, now that he's getting, just. My point is that no, you're good. My point is that how do we know that X's renaissance here this year isn't because of Coach Mullins' coaching? That's just something that needs to be brought up. We won't know for sure. Yeah, we'll never know because we're not in that type of huddle. So I think this is just a bit outrageous. Yeah. It's obviously clickbait. What's been posted on that CDL. So
a few things based on what you just said. I am reading here that account's not the one who posted this. Apparently, it was a submission by.
No, yeah, it was a submission.
I just want to make that clear if people aren't
good.
This is the first time people are hearing about it. It's not that account, so don't go hating that account. But on what you said, Joey, about two things. And this is my hashtag nerd out segment of the week, right? Jeff Van Gundy is a very popular basketball coach, but coached in the NBA for a long time, right? He learned from the best on his way to get to the top. And one thing that he said on a show I was listening to probably about a year and a half ago maybe, was that player development is 95% on the player and 5% on the coaches. And so on that note, I personally think that Xavier has just always had this in him. And I think coaches can help put you in that position to expose yourself, but ultimately you don't get too much better solely because of the coaches. You have to put in that work yourself and listen to the coaches in order to get there. Now, second thing, you said we don't have any main pure shooters outside of maybe Trent, right? And Trent's been playing great, by the way. Trent Brown has been.
This is his best year.
Based on where guys have started and how much better they've gotten this season, he's gotten so much better as the year has gone on. I'm really impressed with him so far. But someone like this who sent an email like this might use that as a reason, that's another reason you might want to get rid of him, because not only is coaching about what you do on the X's and O's on the court, it's about roster construction, it's about recruiting, it's about the kind of roster
that's another thing I've been really
put together. And it's from the moment this season started, we've talked about is the fact, we don't know who's going to be that guy, and nobody has come out of their shell, nobody has stepped up
aside from Xavier.
Aside from X,
but
right?
we kind of knew
it was going to be him who was going to be that second or third guy. Yes. And at times, against lower competition, it seemed like, maybe it's it's this guy. Maybe when Jared Hensley came back, oh, it's going to be him. Now I don't know. I mean, you could critique a lot of different things. Personally, I think roster construction is where I would go before I start critiquing the X's and O's. Because, again, I'm not really sure what else we're supposed to do given the personnel.
I think that's a really, perfect note there because that's something that I've just been – I think the big man play has been lacking. I think I just want to see more.
Can I? Yeah. I want to ask Cole Daly this. I guess the basketball guy here, right?
Sure.
The thing that I've seen from
we've established that now.
The thing that I've seen from the things that I've seen from Jarrett Hensley, however you say his last name, has been very good, but he's not getting the playing time that I would think that he would have gotten. Why is he not getting as much playing time?
Can I go for Cole on this?
Okay.
Because it has to do with what I was saying about. Sorry, I think I'm going to help you.
No, you're fine.
Okay, I'm going to throw you. I'm going to throw you an oop.
Oh, this guy.
No. This guy's
going to help me.
I'm going to throw you an oop.
Yeah, I got you.
And I want you to slam it home.
I got you.
Jarrett Hensley, when he comes off the bench, he's playing the 5. He's not a 5.
No, he's not.
He would be the first to tell you that probably. He's in my mind, he is a really good stretch 4 that's having to play the 5 because of our roster construction. Anyway.
No, I think that's part of it. I think he's coming back from the injury, and I think it wasn't really an injury. He was just being ineligible. But it's hard to adjust to the game and kind of how it's played, and I think that's part of it. Being said, I'm kind of with you. I think he plays really well. Why is he not playing more? Granted,
no,
you're right. The roster construction is correct.
I mean, you can tell he's doing his best and he does a solid job, but he's not playing his natural.
He does a good job on boards. He's
not playing
athletic.
His position, though.
Right. It's not his natural position, but I don't think to me, that's not an excuse for,
not playing him as much.
Right. Aside from, because I'm still holding my little spot on AJ Ferguson Island. I think that next year when Xavier's gone,
he's shown flashes.
He has, and the other guy who's shown flashes is Jarrett Hensley. Why neither of them are more than involved in the offense and only get about 10 points a game? That's what I don't know. That's what I have a concern about. So to be honest with you, Joey, and what scares me is I don't know. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. Let's wrap up here. SIU fans, especially after the reaction last night, putting it out there in the universe, do not be surprised if Mullins takes the DePaul job, because currently he is the leading candidate for the DePaul job, and I would not be surprised if he kind of senses this feeling from SIU fans, especially booing last night at a home game. He might feel a certain kind of way. I don't know any person. I have literally zero personal information.
Yeah.
But I am using the things that are out there and open to the universe, and I think it's certainly a possibility that SIU fans who care about it should be ready if that were to come. It's kind of like when LeBron left the Cavs. It's a crazy comparison, but you should be aware this is a possibility. You're like, LeBron will never leave. Well, he actually, there's a chance.
DePaul's actually going to be brought up later in the show as well. So shout out to the DePaul Blue Demons.
Yeah, really.
We're going to get brought up again.
Really. All right. So they currently stand at 14-8. 6-5 in the Missouri Valley, tied for 4th in the Missouri Valley. That is a little bit, how would you say, misleading. Like 4th in the Missouri Valley.
Even better than it actually
even though we're only 6-5. We lose 2 games here, we're probably at 9th. You know what I mean? Like everybody, middle of the pack is very, very tight right now.
And the sad part is we probably should be like 8-3 minimum.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like Bradley and then
true.
Last night. But then you could say the Murray State game. We shouldn't have won that one.
100% true. Expect a win against UIC in this next game, and then we're going to head and play Drake. I don't want to put any negative stuff out about SIU here, but maybe don't be as hopeful for that one. So we're going to go ahead and move on. If you thought that we've talked ball a lot, don't worry.
We're just getting started.
Me and Jake are just getting started, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. All righty, folks. It's time we talk some more ball.
Talking ball.
Before we get to that, Joey, we forgot to mention the SIU women's basketball team was 4-5 at this point last year, and we're now 2-7. So not that it's like a decline or anything. That's scheduling. That could be 100 different things, but we just pointed that out earlier in the podcast and wanted to bring it up. So first, what do you want to start with? You want to start with NBA or you want to start with college
Let's start
basketball?
with the NBA, Cole Daly.
All right.
Buy, sell, and hold some NBA players for me. Or teams.
So first, the thing that I'm buying, right? Players that are friends, very, very good friends, not on opposing teams, but the team that I want to buy right now is the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, all went to school with each other,
right?
And I love seeing the stuff on Twitter. Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, these guys making fun of each other. They've got elite chemistry. The Knicks are playing their best basketball. I did see CBS Sports. There was a guy who did his NBA power rankings, had the Knicks number 1. That's really high. That's not the case.
That's very, very high.
But they have won 8 straight. They're playing really, really good. I think this is a team that can, make the second round, maybe even push a team to 7, push a team to 7. And we haven't really thought about that way about the Knicks in a long, long time. I think it's good for the culture. I think Jalen Brunson, you have to legitimately consider him one of the best guards in the league at this time. Shout out. I think he went to
Stevenson.
Yes. Good job.
Saw him play at the state tournament in Peoria once.
Oh, awesome. That's fun. Yeah. Next, who am I selling? Well, here's the thing. I'm not selling on anybody. LeBron is. LeBron is going to be selling his teammates before the trade deadline. Yeah. Get ready for that. The Lakers are not winning right now.
Yeah.
In part, not necessarily due to him. I mean, it is LeBron. But Anthony Davis has been on and off. And D'Angelo Russell. I've never been a big D'Angelo Russell guy, except for when he first came in the league. It's just, the thing is about the Lakers, I actually really like their roster construction. I just think that in this kind of new NBA, it's weird. It's a hard balancing act that you have to reach, and the Lakers just aren't figuring it out. I don't know whether it's Darvin Ham. I don't know whether it's Austin Reeves who took a step back. I don't know about any of this stuff. All I know is the Lakers are not title contenders unless they make some changes. And with LeBron tweeting out a very cryptic hourglass emoji, expect some changes to happen. And then finally, what I'm holding, Joel Embiid, one of the best centers in the game. That much is clear. This is the Sneezing Boys podcast.
This is the Sneezing Boys podcast.
Welcome to the Inside Sneezing Boys.
Also, just want to say something on your LeBron point.
Yes,
he put the roster together, so he is.
That is true.
He is the GM. So
that's. I mean, everything.
It's his team, so I don't want to hear him complaining about it. When it's the team that he put together.
That's always the kind of stuff that he does. That is 100% the case. But I want to get back to Joel Embiid here and why I'm holding on him. Obviously, one of the best centers in the game. I'm not, going to make any sort of. Is he really Yes, he is.
Absolutely.
That being said, right? Dodges the Denver Nuggets game. Doesn't want to play against Nikola Jokic. I'm a full believer he dodged it.
Yeah.
Because he's out there warming up right before the game. Wasn't put in the injury report. All of a sudden, sits out. He hasn't played in Denver since 2019. Just so happens to be, the years before Nikola Jokic won his MVPs.
Mm-hmm.
I think, say what you will, I think Joel Embiid is one of the best centers in the game. 70 points, all that stuff. But the thing is that comes down to him. This is kind of going to be the make-it-breaker year. This is almost like when we had what we had with Lamar Jackson, right, this year. We're like, this is the year. But now everybody kind of views him differently, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Like after another playoff loss, I think that this year, if he gets bounced first or second round with the team he has, with how good they are, that's going to be a real problem. That is going to be a real, real problem. So that is why I am holding on Joel Embiid. Because I think he's just taller James Harden in a way.
Taller James Harden.
Very, very high scoring volume. I think he's better. James Harden is obviously much better defensively.
Plays really good defense.
James plays really, really good defense. His playoff struggles aren't nearly as bad. Like James Harden's are actually embarrassing when you get down to it. Mm-hmm. Joel's is just you'd like to see more from him.
Yeah. Part of Joel's lack of playoff success is because of James Harden.
That is true. So this is kind of going to be the exciting year. James Harden's gone. There's literally no more excuses to be made. Tyrese Maxey's taking this next step.
Baller.
They have so many good wings, so many good wing defenders. They just have a plethora And I think, this is it. That's why I'm holding. I'm not buying. I'm not selling. I'm holding on to Embiid because I don't know if he's ever going to be top 3. I don't think he ever falls behind top 7 until obviously he starts to make his decline.
Right.
But I think 7 to 3 is kind of where we need to put him. Guys like Jason Tatum, kind of Kevin Durant right now. I think that's the kind of league that Joel belongs in.
I agree.
I think you have a question for me, Jay Cruz, in regards to the NBA.
I normally do have a question, and the NBA trade deadline is speeding toward us right now.
Absolutely.
It is a freight train, and it's about to change some teams' season. Some teams have already changed their season because of the trade deadline. The Raptors and Knicks made a big trade earlier in the year. The Pacers made a trade for Siakam.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already seen a little bit of activity there. But Cole Daly, what trade would you like to see as we get towards the deadline? What team, what player? Give us the whole breakdown.
I think that's what I'll do. I think I want to give you one team that I hope makes a trade that can get them over the hump. And I think when it comes to a player, I don't know exactly what team. I'll just get into it. The team that absolutely needs to make a trade is the Thunder. They have a plethora of draft picks.
Agreed.
They have a lot of these really good role players. You could move a couple of them. You're not going to be able to pay all of them when it gets down to it. You move those for a star right now, or one who can get you over that next hump. SGA he's my pick for MVP this year. I think he is the most likely for it. I think if you are the Thunder, you have to make some sort of move. Try and get Dorian Finney-Smith from the Nets. Maybe try and get Mikal Bridges. Try and get Cam Johnson. The Nets are kind of like the perfect team to poach right now in terms of these guys that can help you win a championship. And when it comes to player, I've got one answer and one answer only. Zach LaVine. Get him up out of here. Get him up out of here. I don't want it anymore. I've had fun with the Zach LaVine experience, but get him out. I don't want him to be a Chicago Bull no more.
It's over.
Get him to the Lakers. Get him to the Knicks. Whatever you got to do. I just don't want him. It's a bad contract. It's all the worst things about the sport is what Zach LaVine is.
Yeah.
It's like Bradley Beal. Get him out.
Bradley Beal.
That's my.
And now he's relegated to being like the third scoring option on the team.
Yeah, and no one even talks about him anymore.
No.
Send him to the Sixers. Send him to
anywhere.
Literally anywhere. Anywhere else but here. Maybe the Thunder could use him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he actually would be really good for the Sixers. And if we get some, relatively, give us like Paul Reed. And like a pick, a couple picks.
Yeah.
I do that every day.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, like throwing Gorgeous Niang in there. Please. Get Zach out. Get Zach out, please.
I used to love Zach. I used to love him so much. I still kind of do, but it's just...
He's such a fun idea.
He's a great idea.
Athletic, and he can shoot so well on offense.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, does he just not care at all.
Remember when he was almost... it was basically a done deal. He was going to the Kings.
Yeah.
And then something fell through.
Mm-hmm. And now we got so lucky. He's not a bad player. I'm saying it dramatically like he's this James Harden Philly type guy when he's not. But he's just, come on. I kept saying this when we traded for him. It was like, what, Zach LaVine's going to be our best player? What does that get us? And it's gotten us exactly where I thought it'd get us, where it was like, remember that 1 year where we were like a play-in team? That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's all he gets you.
Yeah.
Get him out. Start the rebuild.
The team played pretty good without him, too.
Yeah.
The Bulls did, at
We
least.
don't need him.
Yeah.
It's just, and now it's clogging stuff up. I don't think he likes being the second man to DeMar.
Yeah, that was honestly,
Honestly,
I was honestly surprised that DeMar ended up being better than him for
Yeah.
the Bulls.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be Zach, and then DeMar, as he was getting a little bit older, would take kind of a back seat. But DeMar elevated his game.
100%.
A second lease on life for his NBA career, and you've seen what he's been able to do. So yeah.
And maybe DeMar is the more, because his contract is more reasonable.
Yeah.
You could give him to somebody. I think people would pay a high price for DeMar.
Definitely.
Like the Sixers would be like,
yeah,
I really want DeMar.
The Bulls are just so depressing, man.
They really are.
Can't think about it anymore.
Right. Tell me a little bit about college basketball. You've got some teams that you've got your eye on.
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
So College basketball is in I think, a really good spot right now. And it's ironic because it's in a very toxic spot as well. But I think that the anticipation has never been higher this year. I think we're at the peak right now of the regular season, at least. Obviously, March is the real climax and everything. But we've got some great games this weekend.
We
Some
sure do.
incredible games this weekend. 3 top 10 games this weekend from a bunch of different conferences. Everyone's going to be represented here. Let's start off in the state of Kansas with the Jayhawks. Now, unfortunately, I'm kind of going to do this in the wrong order, but I'm selling the Kansas Jayhawks now. And they were on my short list of teams that I think can win the national championship, and I still believe that, sort of, only just because I didn't really expect them to do it a couple of years ago, and they ended up getting there, and I think Bill Self is just that good of a coach.
Right.
But they do lack one thing that is imperative in postseason play when you're playing every other day: depth. They really, really lack depth.
They sure do.
Outside of their starting 5, and I think that's going to hurt them. And it might hurt them in this game against the Houston Cougars, who, their first year in the Big 12, they're killing it.
Yeah.
That win the other night against Texas, they were down pretty much that whole game, and they stormed back. Jamal Shed playing at an elite. Horns down.
And
yeah,
I'm never
horns
gonna do
down.
That. I'm never going to do this ever again. But if there's a guy that I want gone in Texas, it's Rodney Terry.
Rodney Terry.
I think Rodney Terry is a loser.
Yeah.
Shout out you, Rodney Terry, loser.
Yeah, as if the horns down thing couldn't get any worse. That whole BYU thing with the BYU
Well,
kids, that's awful.
But that wasn't. It got released that it was actually BYU who told them to move up. They were like, "That's disrespectful."
Well, yeah. Either way, the fact that
But
horns
it's
down.
stupid. It's not a slur.
I want to make a
Stupid.
really rash comparison, but I'm not going to. But the fact that horns down is seen on the same level as like other insults, and like you have to censor it. What?
Yeah.
What are we
it's
doing
Not,
here?
it's not. Horns down is not a slur.
Anyway, Houston at Kansas this weekend. Let's not take shine away from the Houston Cougars, who are again back at it with the incredible defense. They're the number 1 defensive team in the country by far. And it's just amazing, like I said, how they continue to roll even in a new conference like the Big 12, which for a while has been seen as one of, if not the most competitive basketball conference, and even more so with this conference realignment. Like Oklahoma and Texas, they were both pretty good at basketball all the time, but the fact that the Big 12 now has Houston, UCF, a team that's been pretty good, BYU has been really good this year. It's going to be an awesome conference. Game number 2, Cole Daly.
No.
No?
Save it.
Save it? Okay.
Save it. Because
Game
I'm
number 3.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Yeah.
Game number 3, 2 teams that one that I was really, really high on, but might be falling off here by the time this weekend is over, and a team that I am pounding the table for as a legit national championship contender. That's the Kentucky Wildcats. I am so high on them heading into this weekend. And they are hosting the Volunteers of Tennessee, who on Tuesday night suffered one of the most mind-boggling losses of the season at home to South Carolina. Now, South Carolina is much improved. Lamont Paris is doing
18-3, aren't they?
18-3 or something. They have a really good record.
That's
now, their
nuts.
schedule and their resume is not great, but they're just winning games.
Right.
And they went into Tennessee the other night and won.
Remind me, does South Carolina have, I think, Michi Johnson, no?
Former Ohio State
Or
guy.
Ohio
Yeah.
State guy.
Which-
Played LeBron James in some sort of, like, mini docu-series about him. Did you not hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, super weird. Just
I
keep
don't really
going.
think he looks like him either. But
I don't-
anyway,
that's what I was going to say. I was
they
like,
went to Tennessee and won. And Tennessee has been struggling very, very subtly lately in it. And it came out in full force against South Carolina the other night. Double-digit favorites they lost to. I just that one didn't make any sense to me. And the perception of Tennessee, like I said last week, they were one of my favorite teams in the country. That can take a huge downturn this weekend in Rupp Arena. And honestly, at this point, I don't really do picks, but I'd probably pick Kentucky to win that game, and they may win big. I do expect them to put up a fight, but the Wildcats, I just think, are a really, really bad matchup for them.
Here's what I'll say about Tennessee, and this is a concern if, obviously they're one of the best programs in the country, but it's a concern how, and tell me if you share the sentiment, usually, right, top 5 school loses in a game that they shouldn't lose.
Yeah.
Next game, you feel like, oh, they're going to play a lot harder. They're going to show us why they're top 5.
Yep.
I never feel that way about Tennessee. In fact, Tennessee lost to South Carolina, and I look at it and I go,
It's not as surprising as it should be.
I think they're worse. Like I think weirdly a loss when the expectations are that high, I don't feel like they're gonna bounce back and really show you who they are. I just get a worse opinion of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
And Tennessee's one of those. It's one of those very rare schools that I feel that way about.
Yeah. Fair enough. Now let's go to a school that is near and dear to your heart. It's the Duke Blue Devils,
Let's
and this
do it.
weekend it's game 1 of 2
Let's
in
do
their
it.
yearly series against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Number 7 Duke, number 3 UNC. The rivalry is in a really good spot. The hatred is there. Both teams are really, really, really good this season. Duke is a team I'm holding on as of now because, and I just want to say it, shout out to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets who have beaten both of these teams this season.
Really.
Wait, that always happens. Like, there's always one team who just is the giant
It was
killer.
Boston College years ago
Oh, yeah?
against I think that would have been the Marvin Bagley year. Marvin Bagley, Grayson Allen year. Boston College just killed us, and then they killed UNC, and everybody was like, "Is Boston College like
Good.
top 10?"
Yeah. Duke, they've had some confusing losses. I mean, I'm just looking at their losses now. Arizona, a team that, volatile is the perfect way to describe them. Arkansas, not a tournament team. Georgia Tech, not a tournament team. they're 10-11. Definitely not a tournament team. And then Pitt, fringe, probably not a tournament team. Shout out Blake Hinson, photo of the year so far after that win at Duke. But
Can I talk about those losses really quick?
Go ahead, yeah.
Because here, I'm going to use this platform. This is the Duke versus UNC game. I'm going to spout my Duke nerdage. That is going to
Okay,
be
go ahead.
what this is. So, not that I'm excusing any of these losses, because there are games that we won that we should have lost.
Right.
So we're going to start with the Arizona game.
Yep.
A much more veteran team. We had a lot of guys coming in. John Shire, he is not Coach Keck. And I kind of makes me sad.
Really?
He's not. He has a really, really tough time earlier in the season figuring out lineups. And he did not play the right guys at the right time against Arizona. That was embarrassing. Second loss on that was... Why can't I think... Can you list them off again? Arkansas. We were going to lose that game, and I knew it going in. Because we played at Arkansas. It was literally, it broke the fan attendance record.
Yeah.
They were sold out, and Arkansas is, especially early in the season, we didn't know they were going to suck early in the season, and they were hyped. Everybody knew that we were going to lose that game. Georgia Tech, no excuse there. Georgia Tech, it sucks, whatever. Against Pitt, also shouldn't have lost, but Blake Hinson went 7 for 7 from 3.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
Kinda
hard
tough
to defend.
yeah.
And it was a close game. So,
Yeah.
Not that we should only be a one-loss team. That's not the team that this is, but those are my takes on those losses. So, Jay Cruz, go back to your...
If I were to predict this game, I would give UNC the slightest advantage. One thing that has impressed me about Duke, though, when I saw this the other night against Virginia Tech, their three-point shooting has really, really impressed me in certain games this season. Also, the game at Pitt earlier this year, they shot the three ball really, really well. So if they're able to stay efficient, I think they have a shot to win this game, for sure.
So, I'm going to go full nerd here.
Okay.
So expect this to be long, folks. So Duke finally, for the first time, at the end of Coach K's run, we were not a very good shooting team. You think about that RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson team, what did everybody say about them? They couldn't shoot the ball. This year's team can shoot the ball. Jeremy Roach has a very improved jumper.
Yeah.
Tyrese Proctor he's kind of either hot or cold, but I trust his jump shot. Jared McCain, best freshman shooter in the country. That's not even debatable. Caleb Foster, another freshman guard, really, really, really good. The thing that scares me about this Duke team is we just have a lack of size. Kyle Filipowski has the Jarrett Hensley problem. He's not a 5, but we have to play him at the 5 because he's 7 foot.
It's weird he's listed as a center.
He's not a center. He is one.
A 7-foot guy is not a center?
He is 100% a power forward. You watch him play, he is 100%.
Like a Kristaps almost.
Yes. That's like who he emulates. Game after, he's 100% that. Ryan Young, not a good backup center. I don't like when we give him minutes. Sean Stewart, I think he plays a really good small ball center, but he's only 6'8". And John Shire, for whatever reason, doesn't play him minutes at all. He gives Ryan Young these minutes, who's only an inch taller than him, and is... I mean, the guy played at Northwestern, for God's sake. I mean...
Why? Hey, watch it.
I'm just saying...
Fair enough.
I really hope we either hit the portal or get some guys, because we're also not recruiting centers well. And I'm fearing, on a larger scale, what Duke is going to become. Because post Coach K, we went on to hire Kentucky assistant coach Jai Lucas. Jai Lucas was one of the best recruiters in the country, as was John Shire. So they get anybody they want. Now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even close. Duke, we pay the money for it, obviously, right? Kentucky's having a great season this year, but let's not forget what Kentucky has been for the past 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Too many guards that all want to shoot the ball, that all want to score, that can't handle, not having the ball. These guys are good when they get to the NBA, but they don't mesh. I mean, think about Ashton Hagans, Emmanuel Quickly,
Yeah.
and that. I think SGA was on that team.
Yep.
Maybe I'm getting him confused with somebody else. But point is, it becomes kind of a hodgepodge. That's what I feel like this year's Duke team is, and that's why I get scared for them. You would think, a lot of guards that can all handle the ball and pass proficiently. That shouldn't be a problem. But it really kind of gets down to it because I'm like, guess what? Guess who wants to make the league? All of the
All
top
those guys.
8 guys on
Yeah.
Duke's roster. And like a big problem for me, and I hope he's gone this year. He's been playing really well, but I don't care. Mark Mitchell. Mark Mitchell is not a star. He should not be taking the amount of shots that he takes. He should be a wing guy playing defense, but he is really determined to make the league and prove his draft stock and all that stuff. And so sometimes he takes some really bad shots. He drives, loses the ball, this whole thing. I think UNC is a perfect example of a team that is recruited extraordinarily well, both through the portal and through just general recruiting rankings. I think Elliot Cadeau is one of the most underrated freshmen in the entire country. RJ Davis, I mean, is he the pick for the Naismith this year?
Probably Edie, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
he's up there.
Probably should be RJ Davis. Yeah.
He's up there. Harrison Ingram, awesome 5-star transfer from Stanford. I love the guy who comes off the bench. It's not Casey Washington, is it?
I think it is.
It might be Casey
sounds
Washington.
familiar.
It might be Isaiah Washington. It's something
Something like
along
that.
those lines. Washington is his last time I know that. Obviously, Baycott is Baycott, and he's really helpful. I think UNC is built really, really good. That being said, those are my analysis of the two teams. I was talking about this with my roommate. Shout out Brady O'Donnell. He's a UNC fan. I can't believe I live with one, but that's besides the point. But we talked about this. For whatever reason, Duke shows up in Chapel Hill, and UNC shows up in Cameron
Yeah.
Indoor.
That's true.
And that's what I would be afraid to look at in this game. Because I would not be surprised if Duke walks in and shoots some ridiculous, 54% from 3 in this game.
Yeah.
And ends up silencing UNC, reminding them, who's the boss. Because Duke, UNC doesn't really handle to Duke. I'm going to be sweating for the entire 2.5, 3 hours that this game lasts. And I think if you force me to make a pick, I don't even know if I could. The seasons, the series all time is remarkably close to 500, for each team.
Yeah.
They both are 216 to 217,
Yeah.
which is why it's the greatest rivalry in sports. I don't care about
I'm not going to argue with it right now.
Michigan and Ohio State, right? So I can't pick a team here. Just know, tune in. It's going to be a good game. I can promise that. But Duke's not even a top 10 team. That 7 ranking is hilarious. They're not that good. But because it's these two schools, because of the history there, I think it's going to be one of the best games of the year.
I agree. No, it's another fantastic weekend of basketball. Like I said, tune into these games.
Tune into these games,
Tune into these
guys.
games when the dogs aren't playing.
I like that Tennessee-Kentucky one.
It's right after the Duke. We're going to start with Houston and Kansas and Fog Allen, Duke UNC in the Dean Dome, and then we finish it off with Kentucky Tennessee at Rupp Arena. Incredible day of college basketball.
That really is. That's
Please
great.
watch at least one of these games.
I was going to say.
Give yourself the satisfaction of just the entertainment
I was
that's
gonna
going to
say,
bring.
I'm clearing my Saturday.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Really incredible.
So that's it. Guys, we got some NFL to talk about. Listen, dude, if the Duke game goes at least a little bit like the Lions game, we're going to have a real problem. You might not see me get on the spot.
Yeah.
You might not see me get on the spot.
bad.
But Joey, get back on in here. We got to talk about it.
The conference championship weekend has just finished, And now we are on to the Super Bowl here in 2 weeks. We had an exciting a couple of games here. One of them did not go very well for our good friend Cole Daly. I'm very, very sorry about that. That's very, very heartbreaking loss.
Are you sorry about that?
I am
Good
sorry.
point.
Because I think
I don't know if we believe.
Let's talk about it.
let's
Let's get into it because go ahead, Cole.
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to talk about it
You
yet?
want me to get into it?
I don't want to talk
can get
about
into
it.
it for you.
I don't want to talk about it yet. You guys talk about your teams. We'll talk about my team later.
There's not much to say other than new coaches.
Who'd you hire?
Well, the Chicago Bears hired Eric Washington as their defensive coordinator, somebody that was completely not on my radar. But, I think it's a good hire, especially for a team that already has a defensive coach. There's nothing that getting a superstar defensive coordinator is really going to do when your head coach is, like I said, that guy. Eric Washington, by the way, and one thing that I find pretty good is that he worked under Lovie Smith for the Bears. Lovie Smith, one of the greatest Bears coaches of all time, which saying that is crazy. But, he was good for the Bears. And Eric Washington was on that staff. I believe the staff that went to the Super Bowl lost to the Colts and through the 2010-2011 seasons as well. So he's got a ton of experience. He just came from the Bills, where he was the D-line coach there. They were 4th in the league in sacks. And honestly, the Bills don't really, from a personnel standpoint, they don't really have any superstars anymore. I know they have Von Miller, but he's spent a lot of time with injury. And so I think he did a really good job there, and that was probably part of why they wanted to bring him into Chicago. So nothing really else to say there. I like the hire. Obviously, we'll see what happens when the season starts, but I think it's a good hire.
I'll go next, I guess. We'll just get the uninteresting teams that didn't play this past week out of the way. My team, the Green Bay Packers, hired Jeff Hafley yesterday, completely under the radar too for a hire, just like Eric Washington for the Chicago Bears. Needless to say, I didn't know virtually anything about him once I've learned that we hired him, but learning more about him a little bit from Jay Cruz, because he was an Ohio State defensive coordinator for one season, I love the hire. He is basically the anti-Joe Barry hire. Joe Barry loved playing a lot of zone coverage, especially in crucial situations on 3rd down, 3rd and long. I don't know why. The coach and the personnel did not match up on this defense. And I think this is the perfect fit. I think they realize their mistakes and they're trying to correct them, and I love the move. Literally, I have a quote in here. I love to play press man when asked about zone versus man coverage and what he likes to do. He played cover one, which is man, 43.1% of all plays last season on Boston College. That's 5th in all of college football. So that's, needless to say, we're going to be playing a lot more man coverage, and I think that's perfect with Jair Alexander and the type of Carrington Valentine, the type of defensive backs that we have. So we needed a defensive coordinator that was going to specialize in defensive backs. But I will say this. My entire time as a Packers fan, it's always been fire the defensive coordinator. I've just been so used to just saying that over the years. Mm-hmm. And I will believe it when I see it, that we play more man coverage. We have to get this hire right, though. I'm just sick of having to say that all the time. I'm just so used to it. I would not be surprised if, for whatever reason, this doesn't turn out. For whatever reason, we haven't had a top-tier defense in this league for the past 15 years. And I don't know. What's to make me think that this will change anything? I don't know. We'll see. So.
Wait, so does this mean no more Preston Smith on Devontae Adams?
No more Preston Smith on Devontae Adams, hopefully.
No more linebackers on DJ Moore.
Probably the best defensive back on the Packers.
No. Yeah. Dang it. No.
Cole Daly.
I was going to say. No, hold on. No? On that note, I'm actually a big Jeff Hafley guy. I like him.
Yeah, he's great.
I think that, honestly, he got pushed out of Boston College a little too early. Because, what are they doing now? The Jeff Hafley years were the best years.
I don't think. See, hold on.
Pushed out.
I think it was less of Boston College pushing him out and more of he wanted to go somewhere else
and that's
and take a better job. Like the defensive coordinator job in the NFL is better than a low-rate ACC program.
Okay.
Sorry to the Boston College people, but that's just the truth.
No, and that's true. We do have a lot of Boston College fans that listen to the SIU Sports podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But
very big fan base.
Right. huge, actually. You wouldn't think so.
Especially in this area of the country, too.
A lot of flutie heads. But, no, point is, I'm a really big Jeff Hafley guy. Obviously, you can never tell with these hires. Sometimes they're awesome, sometimes they suck. But I think honestly, it is my personal opinion, you guys got this right. When I saw that you guys hired him, I was like, dang, that's actually, like, I really, really like that. So
anything anti-Joe Barry, I'm all for it. This is perfect. So,
okay, it's been long enough. Let's talk about the Lions and Niners game. So,
yes,
24-7 lead at the half. I am texting Jay Cruz, some of my other buddies. Zero confidence here. Oh, we'll get to him.
Okay.
But
he knows what he did.
Yeah. So we're in the middle of the game, and we come out. I mean, just 7 to 8 yards of play, like really dissecting this Niners defense. It's what I thought could possibly happen. It's why I picked the Lions, not only just because whatever, but I was like, I kind of almost expected this. I thought Ben Johnson would come in with his A-plus game plan, and he did. He had a really, really good game plan. It was phenomenal. Everything we were doing was working. We had to settle for a field goal at the end of the half, but I like that. It was push it to a 3-score game. Just whatever you want to do, get it to a 3-score game, and they can't catch up. So 24-7, I had zero complaints about that. So then we get to halftime, and we have our little Inside Sports group chat. So fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't check it because I was like, I didn't want to talk to you guys because you guys would be like, oh, the frauds turned it, whatever it was.
Who frauds?
Lions.
Oh, you're talking about it.
Yeah. You guys would be like, no. Okay. And I was like, whatever. But I did see on my phone, it says, Joey Bernard does maybe the worst thing you can do.
The smartest thing I could do.
The worst thing that he could do, which is type verbatim, the Lions are going to the Super Bowl.
Literally types that.
At halftime. That's what he types. And I don't know if we have, we obviously have a lot of sports listeners here, but for those sports fans at home, as soon as your buddy acknowledges that your team is going to win the game at halftime, that has a roughly 5% success rate for when it comes to your team winning the game at the end. And how does the second half start? Not great.
No.
Not
great, Bob.
Not great. We did all right. We had some momentum, but then Josh Reynolds drops the ball. Okay, we're up 3 scores. The 49ers go down, they score. All right, well, that's a little... Okay. Immediately, we get the ball back. Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles on, like, the first or second play. He runs, like, the wrong whatever. Fumble, they get it, they score. All right. All of a sudden, it's 20, 28, 24. And then I'm trying to remember, like, exactly how the game went. Because, like, did they kick a field goal first, maybe, and then made it 30-24? I don't remember. Point is,
so it was. Hold on, I can help you.
So they got to 35. They didn't kick any.
It was tied at 24, and then they scored.
Yes.
They had a field goal and then a touchdown.
Yes. So they had 34 by the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, it was like I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember. It was only 4 days ago. I guess my brain just pushed out my memory.
You want to forget it.
Yes.
I'm trying to forget it.
So, he's got all these things here about how it's not Dan Campbell's fault. Because it isn't. Josh Reynolds dropped multiple crucial balls.
Yep.
Jahmyr Gibbs fumble. Everything that could go wrong was going wrong. But that being said, the part that... and the interception, that was really what it was. Because they had no hope to start the half. And Brock Purdy's like, screw it. I'm playing like garbage.
Chucks it.
And he just chucks it. And then, of course, we have that awful secondary that we have. And Kendall Vildor's like, I got it.
Former Bears legend.
Bounces.
I wouldn't say legend. Bears player.
Bounces.
He's a legend in my eyes.
Off
He's a top player.
the front of his helmet. Literally perfect. It couldn't have been better for IU to catch it. I saw he was complaining that he wasn't the number one play on SportsCenter. It's like, dude, that became
Who cares?
that became just a normal
Right.
pass for you. Like
Yeah.
you didn't make any sort of play there.
Right.
Like, so point is, it was just a dumpster fire. And then once we get to the end of the game that's when I start to blame Dan Campbell, because
Yeah.
Twitter was very up in arms, and they were like, everybody at first was like anti Dan Campbell, but then everybody was like, well, you know what, I'm gonna zag here. That's what just annoys me about Twitter and just social media at all.
People just try to be contrarians for no reason.
They just try and be contrarians for everything, and it's just stupid and
Very divisive.
yeah. Point is, at the end of the game, 4th and 3, we're down by 3 points. We have 0 points in the second half up to this point.
Yeah.
They have 17 or 24. In 24, they got themselves all the way ahead of us. It would be, if you kicked it would be 48-yarder, I think is what they determined. Michael Bagley's not the best kicker in the world.
No.
But from 40 to 49 yards, he is 7 from 9 on the season. Just take those freaking odds. No one's going to blame you because you just have to, like, how is the game going? That's what you have to say is, how is the game going? He does all right in the condition. It was like a perfectly nice day. If you have a kicker that can't kick a 48-yard field goal, just cut him off the team. Have your punter kick all the freaking kicks. I'd say kick the field goal because just keep yourself in the game. Because guess what? You don't get that 4th and 3rd. With how the game's going, you're out of the game. Like, they're going to score a touchdown. You're out of the game. Yeah. Your defense isn't holding anybody to anything at this point. We were winning the trenches in the first half. Second half was embarrassing. So, well, what does Dan Campbell do? He's the guy that goes for it. And so he goes for it, and guess what? Nothing was there because he ran into the short side of the field. I just don't get it. That part was disappointing. And then at the end of the game, one of the dumbest decisions I feel like I've ever seen. 3rd and goal. You're down by 10. You have 3 timeouts left. And you run the freaking ball. I'm going to be nice.
Nice. Yeah.
You run the ball. You get stuffed. Now you have to waste a timeout. You never get onside kicks. Getting an onside kick doesn't happen. You don't get onside kicks. It's
No.
You never do.
It was like 2% or something.
It's like a ridiculous number that we're not going to get with how the game's going. Like, because if it was one of those, oh God, I'm so lucky. we didn't put up any points. Yeah, congrats. We scored on the next play. But guess what? We have 2 timeouts, and shocker, 49ers get the ball. That was just that. Those were the 2 plays that were really, really embarrassing. Not that we would have come back and won if we would have thrown it and scored. Not that we would have done anything like that. I think it was bad luck. It was bad coaching. It was the Lions. It was just the Lions. I think that's like the best way of describing it is it was the Lions. So congrats to the 49ers. Everybody's really looking forward to the Super Bowl. Somebody else talk about the Ravens and Chiefs game because that one was so fun too. I love a Chiefs and Niners Super Bowl. Isn't that what everybody wanted at home? They wanted the 2 freaking favorites the entire way during the season. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I just
Anna Fry's going to the freaking Super Bowl.
I just want to say something before we move on, I guess. There's a discourse just in general about, and I even had it presented about this game. Is it Dan Campbell's fault? Is it not Dan Campbell's fault? Dan Campbell can also call a really bad game and make really bad decisions and it not be his entire fault that they lost. Yeah. I think that's just getting misconstrued here. Yeah. Like, yes, he called a really bad game, but ultimately the biggest things I think that caused this loss were a lot of these fluky, random player mistakes. Josh Reynolds' drops did not help them all day. No. Jahmyr Gibbs' fumble was extremely crucial. But also Dan Campbell's call to, go for it multiple different times in certain situations didn't help either.
Honestly, the worst one of those is the one that ended up working out. And like just because something works out doesn't make it the right decision.
Absolutely.
It was when it was 34-24. Lions have driven all the way downfield. And instead of kicking a field goal to easily make it a one-possession game, they go for it on a 4th and goal. And it ended up working to make it 34-31. But that is the wrong decision every single time.
It is.
And again, you can get lucky once and people will think you're a genius, but what about the other 2 times in the game where, again, Josh Reynolds dropped the ball, yeah, but like Cole was saying, play the percentages.
Absolutely.
Play the odds. Like, yeah, 55% of the time it increases the win probability of this next-gen stat on ESPN. And now we got announcers telling us, well, I think they should go for it now, as if they have their own analytics book that they're opening up. No. Stick to the percentages. And there's a reason why all these big go-for-it analytics coaches, Brandon Staley being one of them, are getting fired. These guys aren't lasting in the league anymore. Like, just play your game. Rarely do you. And the other one too that I don't even think this happened in this game, but just while we're on it, the other one that really confuses me is when the down by 8 go for 2 thing.
Oh, I love it actually.
Why?
Down by 8, go for 2. What do you mean?
So you're down by 8, you score a touchdown. Like you're down by 8 after scoring the touchdown.
Oh yeah, no, I love it.
So
because
you're fine with going for 2, and
you have 2 tries to go for 2 practically, and chances are, I would think you should be able to get one of them. If you think about it, late in the game, you're down by 14, score a touchdown, make it an 8-point game. You go for 2, don't make it, it's an 8-point game. I mean, either way, you have to have your defense hold the other team. If they do hold the other team, you can go down the field, march it. You get another try at 2-point
So that's what it is. Like I think it was like it's like a 55% chance it works out, right? So playing those percentages, I guess it should work out 1 or 2 times, but it's not every single team is 55. That's the average. And so I guess it should just be a team by team thing. Like if your team excels in 2-point situations, then yeah, it makes sense. But if your team doesn't, and we're seeing a lot of teams who suck in 2-point situations do it, and it not work out.
Well, here's kind of the larger point that I'm getting at in this kind of regard. Lions, what did we get in the second half? Jack squat. Like
nothing.
0 points. So when it's 4th and 3 in a game in which, or at least the second in a half in which nothing has gone our way, nothing, 0 things. Why are we even trying with the whole chances thing?
Yeah.
Why are we trying that? Like, why are we like, we're going to take our odds here? Luck hasn't been on our side, Danny boy. It hasn't worked for us.
I
so
think,
why are we, now is when we're going to, and I know it's been his thing a whole year, but like, it's just, it's momentum. Like, these people who don't think momentum matters in games, how stupid can you be? Honestly. Real. How stupid can you be? And, yeah.
Go off, kid.
Whatever.
Go
it's
off,
just
kid.
Another one that gets overlooked. They were up by 14. They were also in field goal range. They went for it in 4th down. The play call was right. Josh Reynolds dropped the ball again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the play call is right. But if you go for the field goal there, you're up by 17 points.
Yeah.
And I think that was late in the 3rd.
And how much did they lose by?
They lost by 3.
Exactly.
So, I mean, however many times you can say that they could have gone for a field goal here instead of going for it.
Right.
We'll never know because Dan Campbell didn't make that type of decision.
Yeah.
But if you go for a field goal there, chances are you're in better position to win that game. We're going to move on because we've been talking about this a lot. Chiefs and Ravens, there's a couple different storylines from this game that I want to talk about. And, I mean, Lamar Jackson.
It's not even the Lions lost.
The Super Bowl.
It's
just makes it worse.
I really gotta censor myself here because this is something I'm really frustrated about. It's a crappy Super Bowl. I don't give a rat's butt.
I don't like either one of these
teams. Who's gonna get mad at us? I don't give a rat's ass about either of them in the Super Bowl. I don't care at all. I'm not rooting for either one of them. JB. I don't give. No, I don't give.
Can I?
If you're gonna be bleeping it, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about either of these teams in the Super Bowl. I don't care. Chiefs and 49ers.
If you had to choose one that you'd rather win, who would you rather have win? If you have to choose one, my gun to your head.
Well, we don't have to make that decision today.
That's true. Sorry, no.
I'm not making no one's picking anything.
I'm saying who would you rather want to win? Who are you rooting for?
That's your camera, by the way.
I don't like.
Oh, you're just done with this podcast.
Is there a gun under this desk? Like, I don't want to make this.
Oh my god,
this is stupid.
You don't have to.
There's nothing that
you have another week to think about it.
There's nothing I hate more than when we get a championship game. Right, it's a whole season builds up to this very epic climax, and there's no one for me to root for. Like March Madness a couple years ago, championship game, UNC versus Gonzaga. Two teams I don't like or I don't want to like. I don't even want to watch. Like, this sucks. Like last year, it was like Eagles were like, oh, this is the Eagles. Like that's fun and stuff. And it, Eagles Patriots. Oh, okay, Eagles again.
Well, think about it this way: you'll get joy out of seeing one of those teams' downfall, possible downfall.
I don't know.
I don't know if you can call it a downfall just by losing a Super Bowl.
I'm just sick of it. I'm just sick of it all. If it was Ravens, I wouldn't even be in this kind of match. I'd be like, okay, I can root for the Ravens. I want Lamar Jackson to have his moment. If it was Lions, I'd be like, Week 1 rematch. That'd be fun. That'd be awesome. We'd probably lose. We definitely lose that game, but it's
absolutely.
like. Sorry, keep going. Let's talk about
I'm glad that you're doing this.
I'm glad you're showing this type of emotion. I'm sure the viewers love it.
Stupid, dude.
It shows that you're passionate about your team now, and I love this.
Stupid, dude.
Chiefs and Ravens. Lamar had another dud of a game. Why do I say another? Because he played magnificent this season. Another dud of a playoff game now is what I really mean.
Yeah, that's
at home. Best defense in the league, one of the best rushing attacks in the league, and they strayed away from running the ball that entire game.
5 carries, right? Or was it 5 early down carries?
I think it was
early down carries.
It was like 5 or 6 early down carries by running backs, basically.
Justice Hill and Gus Edwards.
Bad. Really bad, really weird. I looked while you guys were talking your college stuff. They ran the ball on average 32 times this season each game. They ran it 16 times total against Kansas City, and that's like including Lamar Jackson's, scrambling out of the pocket on a pass play.
Middle camera's back.
Yeah, middle camera's back here. So this was the year that I think Lamar had to get to the Super Bowl. This was one of his best chances to do so. If there was, of the remaining 4, if there was one team that I think had the most to lose, it was the Ravens by losing a game, and they lost.
Well, because you think about this, right? Joe Burrow's out for the season. Bengals
Absolutely.
are bad. Steelers are awful.
Awful.
And and then Deshaun Watson's out for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they're like great with him either, but it's better than Joe Flacco. It's good. That's a competitive, tough division that like they got so lucky this year.
Yeah, and all the pieces just kind of fell apart. There's no saying that it's going to happen next year or even the year after that. So, and I don't know. Who knows if Lamar's performance is going to stay the same for next year or the year after, So, I don't know. This was the Ravens' best chance to get there and even win it, perhaps. And they blew it. Patrick Mahomes is already up there in top 7 or 8 quarterbacks of all time for me, and probably even higher for some other people too.
I think I'm putting him top 5.
Top 5?
I'd say top 5.
I think that's fair too.
Yeah.
He can overcome practically everything you throw at him.
I'd argue what the Chiefs have done in the last, what would that be now, 5 seasons? 4 out of 6 Super Bowls, is that what it is now?
Yeah.
I think it's 4 out of 6 Super Bowls made. They've won 2 of them already. They've made the AFC Championship game in every single year. And you could argue that the 2 years they didn't make the Super Bowl, there's absolutely no reason they shouldn't have, because they blew. Obviously, there's that Patriots game that was complete BS. I should have just said the full word now that we're just openly swearing on the podcast. I'm just kidding. And then the year against the Bengals when they were up 21-3 at halftime and completely just blew it. So, you could argue that there's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't have made 6 Super Bowls in a row. Probably one. Let's just give them.
I think it's only 5, by the way. Am I wrong?
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
But they didn't make the one in 18. They didn't make the Super Bowl.
They made the AFC Championship.
Yes.
I said 4 out of 6 years they've made the Super Bowl. They've already won 2.
Oh, 4 to 6 years they've made this. I get what you're saying.
The Super Bowl.
My fault.
Won 2 of them, and every year they've made the AFC Championship game.
My fault.
And you know what? I just kind of thought of this too. Patrick Mahomes has only lost 1 playoff game in regulation.
Have they made 4 Super Bowls though? I feel like Mahomes has only lost.
Yeah.
So he's lost 2 Super Bowls.
This is number 4.
Oh,
he's lost 1.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now I'm following.
Okay. Yeah. But anyways, what I was saying, this is Patrick Mahomes has only lost 1 playoff game in regulation. He's had 3 playoff losses, 1 of them in the Super Bowl, 2 of them in the AFC Championship game, and the AFC Championship games were both overtime games. Bengals, and then the Patriots, of course. So at 28 years old, what a resume to already have.
Yeah.
And it's only going to grow bigger. And, I mean, he wins the Super Bowl this year. What more are we going to say about him? I mean, he's only going to climb up there in the next couple of years. So, and I want to pose this question, too. Was this the hardest path to a Super Bowl yet for Patrick Mahomes to get to?
Most definitely.
That's a great question.
I'd say so. Yeah,
probably.
It's the worst team.
The receiving core was not there. I mean, the defense is really stellar.
Yeah,
so that's what you could argue.
It is.
Like the other teams, they had really good defensive teams, but like this year, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like this is a top 3 defense.
L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah, third year in a row where about midway through the season, we're all like, "Yep, Chiefs are done." Like Tyreek Hill's last year, they were terrible. They only scored. I remember they had a game against the Packers where they only scored like 13 points. They still won the game because that was Jordan Love's first start after Rodgers had to be out because of the stuff.
COVID. Yep.
But
I didn't realize we were censoring that.
I don't know. I honestly. Anyway, yeah. I mean, there have been several times where like earlier this year against Denver, right? The Chiefs got blown out by the Broncos.
They lost to the Raiders.
They lost to the Raiders. Like there were several points in this season where we thought that they were done completely. And I don't really think during the Patriots run there were never really too many of those moments. I don't remember.
No.
Like the Chiefs looked bad, and everyone was questioning, does Kelsey care anymore? Does the team care anymore? Does Patrick Mahomes is his wife too annoying? I don't know. These are just questions that people are asking. That maybe I was asking too. And they just continue to come through in the biggest of spots. And I do want to give some credit. I know this is not very popular to do right now, but to Travis Kelce for. I was 1 week off on my 10 receptions for 120 yards thing, by the way. He killed it in the Ravens game.
Buddy ball.
And he's been killing.
Most playoff receptions all time.
Most playoff
Past
receptions
Jerry Rice.
ever. Yeah.
That's nuts.
I mean, got to give credit to him. All the attention in the media, it's all just – he just likes somebody that happens to be
he's got a
the most
crush.
popular that happens to be the most popular person on the planet pretty much. And he's fighting through it all, and he is killing it in the playoffs. I mean, there's not too much else to say. He is one of, if not the reason they won that game. Because some of the catches he was making, outrageous. So, shout out Travis Kelce.
I like to see love. I like to see really good love happen.
You didn't get that.
Travis.
You didn't get that against the Niners in the second half last week.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Get that one.
Jordan Love.
Thanks.
Mm.
Good job.
Is that
might be
turkey?
Golf
That
celebration.
would be worst one all time.
I kind of did that on purpose.
No, I know we did.
Oh, okay, good.
But that I was like really, whatever.
Okay, boys.
We'll do it again.
I just want to hear from you guys.
Do you?
I
don't even want to talk about it. It sucks, dude.
I know you hate the Super Bowl, but which team has more to lose in this Super Bowl? And I guess I'll start. I think it's the Niners in this one, right?
Yeah.
If the Niners lose this Super Bowl, right, you can already go back and say, is Purdy the guy? I think you could still say that even if they win. Is Purdy still the guy? Because they could win in spite of Purdy.
Right.
At the moment, I'm leaning Chiefs to win this game, but I'm just saying I think the Niners have more to lose here because the Chiefs are going to be right back in it. I feel like that'll be the common discourse between us three here, but the Chiefs will be right back in it. This is the year the Niners finally got over the hump since their last Super Bowl against the Chiefs was at 2020 to get back, and now they're back, and now they also have another really mid quarterback. If they lose, they might have to really mid quarterback. I'm using that lightly because Purdy has played very well.
Whoa, that was something.
Purdy has played very well, but
yeah.
I still think the discourse around him will be very, very crazy after this result. Whether they win, whether they lose, doesn't matter. Yeah, I want to hear from one of you guys at least about this.
You said most of it. It's the Niners.
Yeah.
One of them, because one of these teams has one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it. So I have a good feeling they'll be back. And one of them has Anna Fry at quarterback. So I don't.
Now, hold on. I do want to give some credit to Brock Purdy. You could make the argument that after that crazy throw to imitate Cole Daly,
just chucking
that hit off, just chucking it to Kendall Vildor. Obviously, that wasn't like a great throw or anything. he kind of carried them to a victory there in the second half. I mean, he played some of his best ball that he has all season. Don't shake your head. It's true.
No, I know it's true.
Oh, you're just mad that the Lions allowed it to happen. Right, yeah. No, that's totally understandable. But he did. He played really, really well. Now, will he be able to replicate that against a clearly better defense than the Chiefs? We'll have to wait and see.
I think Brock Purdy just spends a quarter of each game as one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do it, and then he spends 3 quarters kind of deciding whether he wants to be that guy that day.
Yes, yeah.
So
Agreed.
I think that's Brock Purdy's whole thing. And he did that in college. He's always been that guy. I mean, he's made literally, like, he has he might have one of the best low-light tapes in college football.
I'll never forget.
Where he tapped it to that Clemson guy for the interception.
It's funny you bring that up because I'll never forget the game against Oklahoma and, like, the year Hurts was there. Mm-hmm. Like, Iowa State was down the whole game, and then they just went off and scored, like, 35 straight points and almost beat Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That is his thing.
That's just his thing.
That's a great job by you.
He does
Great pull.
Hey, thanks, man.
Got to cheer you up during this really down time.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think I've ever seen you this sad.
Duke's going to beat UNC. It's all going to be okay.
I hate when this happens. I know I said it earlier.
What
I
happens?
hate when we have this whole season that's really fun. Oh, we talk about the storyline. It makes me feel like, what was this even for? Because if you would have asked people before the season, I'm going to start yelling again. If you would have start asking people before the season, hey, who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl? Somebody would be like, probably like 49ers Chiefs. So why didn't even play the season? Just cut to the end. Let's just skip to the end so we can just decide.
But is it even more frustrating knowing the path that we got there is we could have easily not been either of these teams?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying.
The
Ravens, the Ravens got slapped in the face by the Chiefs, and then they just rolled over, and they sucked. The rest of the game, they threw stupid passes. Lamar played awful.
Flowers, that
Lions
goal line.
were the opposite. Lions had it. And then the 49ers were like, dude, what? And then Lions were like, and then they ran away. And it's just,
like the facial expression.
It's stupid. Camera's going to die. So.
Okay.
We got to wrap up the pod, folks. Thank you for watching this episode of the Inside Sports Podcast. I guess we'll tell you what we learned at some point. This has been episode 17. I'm Cole Daly, Joy Bernard, Jay Cruz. Have a great one. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please follow us, like the episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when we drop these episodes. And like it. I think that's all. Have a good one.